question, but I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, my mom used to beat my ass when I was a kid, so I don't think anything will live up to it.
Everybody's frustrated because no one wants to be 1-5.
What do you mean? That's not fun. It's not fun.
To lose the same way every time, it's frustrating as hell.
There's got to be change.
Winning and losing is what's most important.
How do you think he's handling that pressure?
Yeah, I think you have to ask him that. That's a question for him.
I was on a staff on a 1-5 team my first year in Indy, and we turned it around.
That's a hard question to answer.
It's tough. That's all I can say.
Browns and Dolphins today on the lakefront. That scene looks pretty far from Miami. Don't you think? It's cloudy, it's windy, we're supposed to get tons of rain. I don't know what that means when two bad teams are going at it and the weather becomes an equalizer. Things were already fairly equal between two lousy squads. Mark Schwab, Eric Metcalf, Josh Cribbs joining us shortly. Eric, we'll start with you here. I don't know what to think of this game because every team, both teams in this, are pointing to the other ones. Oh, that's why we can get a win. And both teams are also like, we stink. We can't get a win. I should say fan bases. Teams don't say that. I don't know who feels good here.
I think the Browns feel better.
You think the Browns feel better?
Especially like after having what Tua said last week in the press conference. He's since apologized, but for him to throw his team under the bus, talking about guys not coming to being late to the meetings and things like that and not being reprimanded for that, I think it makes it hard for a player to go out and play with a guy who's basically throwing his team under the bus. So with that in mind, I think they might be a little checked out at this point, trying to figure it out, whereas the Browns still can come in here and feel like they can win this game because they are a better team. So they're at home, they can win this game and play good football and go out happy.
For what it's worth, there is, of course, a spread. Browns favored by 2.5. The ESPN matchup predictor, which takes analytics and puts it all into a pot and comes up with a wicked brew, says the Dolphins have a 57% chance of winning. None of this means anything at all, but I am surprised that anyone out there can think Miami has a 57% chance of winning this. They're bad and they're a mess, and if I'm a Browns fan, I know we don't feel good, especially after Thursday. We're going to talk about that whole thing with Joe Flacco and all that, but if you can't win this one, what are we doing here, man?
Look here, this is one of those games that whoever loses should be fired.
That's what people, it's like to keep your job.
Whoever loses should be fired. If you can't beat one of the worst teams in the league, then what are we doing here? And I think I don't think people approach it like that, but I know that's in the back of people's minds. We can't be worse than the other team, whether you be the Browns or the Dolphins. We can't be worse than the other team. And I think that's what players and coaches alike are thinking going into this game. And so looking forward, the weather might be bad. You got to just go out there and put your best foot forward and try to get a win. Because, like I said, I think the Browns have the better team. It's just a matter of putting it together and not browning it at the end.
Don't. So I did a podcast earlier in the year, and somebody said, what is your biggest concern about the 2025 Browns? And I said, honestly, just the Browns. They just Browns it up. And that sounds negative and pessimistic, but by golly, it has proven to be true a few times. I mean, look at this. Drop passes. It's been a big problem for them. Jaguars, I didn't know you could drop way more passes than the Browns, but congrats to Jacksonville pulling that off. We had some numbers there with Dylan Gabriel, Dylan Gabriel has been fine. I don't understand the 52 passes last week. It's Dylan Gabriel, and he's not at Oregon. When he was at Oregon, 52 passes made a little sense. I don't know about this.
Especially if you have protection. I mean, at Oregon, they were walking out on the field with the better team, 10 out of 11 weeks or whatever,
right.
However many games they play. So
yes.
They knew they can stand back there and throw the ball. This team, we're not protecting well. We're not getting separation, and on top of the drop balls. It's making it hard for a young rookie quarterback when you're playing with the line that's decimated. And then, but in my opinion, you have Quinshon Judkins. You don't need to pass it 50 times. Turn around and hand it to him. Let him go making plays because he's been running the ball well. He's a good player, and that's why you drafted him to be the guy to replace Nick Chubb. So it's one of those situations where I think we're just going into these games and we have to pass it, and I don't understand why.
What do you make of that? We just popped up Miles' numbers from last week. And I understand sometimes, they can scheme away from him or throw 3 guys at him, but only 2 tackles, really nothing else. I mean, how does that? I'm not going to ask, are you concerned? Nobody's concerned. He's really good, but how does that hit you?
It hits hard because when you think of Myles Garrett, you would never think of we're only getting 2 tackles. We're not getting any pressures or any sacks. You think he's a superhuman kind of guy on the football field because he's one of the best players in football, regardless of position. So you expect more from him as a fan. If you're outside looking in, as a player, you know what he's doing, trying to be the best that he can be. And so it comes down to not only the scheme, but other players doing their job so he can't get double teamed, so he's put in position to make plays.
All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about the Thursday night fiasco. Flacco making the Browns look silly. What's that say? We'll talk about it next.
Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area.
31 for 47 for 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, a game-winning drive. Joe Flacco.
Now, Bench Strength, sponsored by Wayside Furniture.
Joe Flacco, a bench strength for the Bengals. They pulled him off the Browns bench to do what he's done that big Thursday night where he could have actually had 4 touchdowns, but T. Higgins took the knee so they could run the clock out. This subject alone isn't its own show. But when you saw that, just take me through what you thought.
My first thought was, this looks really bad on the Browns. This looks really bad, and it's crazy because when the trade first went down, Reggie texted Josh and myself, and he's like, Flacco to the Bengals. I said he's going to look good because he has better receivers, and I think the play calling is better. And so he'll get in a situation where he'll go out there and he'll make plays, and he's made plays with those guys, and they run around, and these guys are wide open.
Yeah.
The best receiver tandem in the league, and they're wide open, which I don't understand. So to me, that's scheme and play calling.
I said it on Friday on the 6 o'clock news. The Browns lost a game they didn't even play in. Like, that's hard to do, to have the Bengals beat the Steelers and everyone in Cleveland wakes up raging at the Cleveland Browns. Normally, that would make no sense. That makes perfect sense after Thursday. Who do you think over there in Berea took that harder? I mean, somebody traded him. It had to be, I guess, Barry. If you're Kevin Stefanski, are you angry? If you're Jimmy Haslam, are you angry? Somebody over there has to be angry at somebody.
I was about to say, first you have to get to the root of it as to who actually made this decision. Because then when we find out who made this decision, then we know who to be mad at. But we don't know who to be mad at right now because no one has said, well, this is Andrew's decision, this is Kevin's decision, or Jimmy's decision. So it's just a bad situation all around.
So let me ask you this. One of his problems here in Cleveland was throwing interceptions this year. He did not take good care of the football. And in 23, when he had that great run, there were times he made some bad decisions and guys just dropped interceptions, I should say. How does the play calling impact him deciding, I'm not going to throw it to a linebacker today? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, was it all coaching and decision-making that way, or was...
Well, play calling determines that in the fact that guys are schemed open. I mean, we're one of those teams with our receivers that we're not really getting much separation in our pass patterns. These guys don't have, so you got to almost make a perfect throw each time that they run a route. Whereas these guys are, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're running wide open. They have separation from these guys, and they're also better than the DBs. And so it makes it a lot easier, and he's more comfortable and confident when he's back there that he has space. He doesn't have to make the perfect throw every time. And I saw that Thursday where he just knew he can go out there and wing it, and these guys are going to come down with the ball.
Joe Flacco still what everyone is talking about in Cleveland. They're taking on the Dolphins today at 1. Get a win. That might help. Here's something to talk about. How do they reestablish the run defense? Devon Achane is a problem. Stick around. Tailgate continues.
Happy Sunday, Browns fans. I'm meteorologist Andy Chillian with a wet and windy forecast during the game. Here is an hour before kickoff at noon, and we're going to be seeing widespread showers, including at Huntington Bank Field. And right at kickoff is when that cold front's going to move through. So we're going to see a period of some gusty winds and brief heavy rain as that happens. Now, showers will continue through much of the game. We may be lucky enough to get breaks as we're getting towards the later half of the game. But either way, we are still looking at some showers, falling temperatures, and still very blustery conditions. Even as the game is wrapping up, more showers will be filling in this evening with those winds continuing. So here is your forecast kickoff. That cold front's moving through. We'll still be well into the 60s, but there's that south wind over 20 miles per hour. It stays blustery with winds out of the southwest throughout the game with occasional showers, and those temperatures will be cooling down. So let's see how this affects things. Maybe a lot of groundwork today. The running game should hopefully be strong, and we'll see how this may affect the kicking game as well. Well, either way, go Browns.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
All right, thanks, Chili. Good stuff. Here's the injury report, the one we're talking about. David Njoku not playing. Obviously, that's going to be more for Harold Fannin, you would think. But when you hear Njoku out, how does that hit you?
It is hard. I mean, when you're playing games like this and you're trying to win games, you need your best players on the field, and he's one of their best players. I mean, Fannin has stepped up and made some big plays at the tight end position, but having both those guys out there gives us a little advantage at the tight end position. So you need him to be out there, but unfortunately for us, he doesn't get to play this week.
Yeah, we talk about the Browns, the receivers, that's been well discussed, but one thing they do well is the two wide receiver set, and I know Fannin's had some drops and David Njoku's had some drops, but with those two guys out there, that can be an issue for teams. And when you don't have the dynamic receiving core, but you do have some pretty good athletic tight ends on an already bad offense, man, you need your guys, don't
Right.
you? Need your dudes.
Right, because those guys create mismatches.
Yes.
Because both of them. If you have two guys, like you said, if you don't have the dynamic wideouts out there, you have two guys that create mismatches on the inside. And you can also split them out. So who's going to cover them? Is it going to be a linebacker or a safety? If it's a safety, 9 times out of 10, he's too small. So linebacker, he's probably too slow. And so these guys are able to make plays, especially when they're both on the field, because you never know which guy they're going to pick to throw it to when they're both the quarterback's safety valve.
All right, Blind Resumes, one of our favorite segments of the show. Producer Chris takes two players, takes away the names, just shows you the numbers. The objective is to not guess who these folks are. It's who would you rather want quarterbacks this season?
I'm taking number one.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking
That's
one
easy.
also.
That's
I mean,
pretty
better
easy,
completion
right?
percentage, better yards, fewer picks,
interceptions, and 2 rushing TDs.
2 rushing touchdowns. So we're both going to look ridiculous here in a minute. But I think, we're going with number one, which is Drake May over Josh Allen. Drake May has been, a rising player for them. They loved him last year as a rookie. They got him 3rd in the draft. People have talked about how much he's come on, and he doesn't have like amazing weapons around him. There you go. We just put Josh Allen on the bench, Matt.
But what he does have is someone who's developing him, and Josh McDaniel. He's been there with Tom Brady. He's been there with other quarterbacks, and he has an offense that works, and he knows how to work his guys into that offense. And so that's how they're getting better. They're building it around Drake May and calling plays that suit his abilities.
Browns and Patriots next week. Mike Vrabel against the team that employed him for about a year or so. When we come back, oh, look at that. The Muni lot. Hunker down, folks. It's coming. The weather is on the way. Kickoff as well. It's about $1:40 from now. Browns and Dolphins. Tailgate continues after this.
self-scout happens after every game. You spend time thinking about the game. I think then you get typically into 4 game blocks where you look at your schemes, offense, defense, and special teams. So that's ongoing. But there's a ton of areas that we need to be better, like I've told you guys, and the collective we share in that. That's coaches, players, you name it.
Now the Pigskin Poll, sponsored by your Northern Ohio Hyundai dealers.
All right, Hyundai Pigskin Poll. We do this every week. We ask a question. I put it on the news. Tell you to go to the website and vote. The folks, go to the website and vote. Who deserves the most blame for the Browns' record? Owner, front office, head coach, or players? And I want to be clear. The question is not who deserves blame, so everyone could say, well, all of the above. No, they all deserve blame, but who gets the most blame of those folks? Matt, what do you think?
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to make that clear. Everybody is to be blamed for what's going on with this season, but if I'm going to have to pick out one of those, I'm going to go with the coach. I'm going to go with the coach because these guys have been in games defensively. They've done some things where they could have won games. They should be like at least 3 wins, but they've done things against Minnesota. Poor clock management, in my opinion. The offense hasn't been effective at all. We don't know what we are offensively, and he's the leader of this team. And so we're not all on the same page. They're not getting it done on Sundays, and so I have to go with the coach.
If we're up to me, I'm picking Andrew Berry. Again, all the blame, but everything seems to be problematic on the field, whether it's the roster construction or the coaching. And this past week with Flacco, I'm sorry, that did show a lot. And so I'm going to go with the guy who's in charge of putting all of that on the field, whether they're on the sidelines or on the playing field. And then somebody might say to that, well, Haslam hires that guy. And I understand, yes, you can run everything up to the owner. If I'm looking on a more micro level, I'm going to say the guy who puts everything on the field, and I'm going to go with Andrew Berry.
But my question to you will be like, but what if, say, the head coach wants this quarterback and not that quarterback? Or what if the owner says, we want you to draft this guy and not that guy?
Well,
then how do you put it on him if people are saying that? So I go strictly to what happens in between the white lines.
You're going between the lines, 1 to 4 on Sundays.
Yes, that's it.
And that's all valid points. Again, everyone there deserves a lot of criticism. All right, let's see what the folks said. Drum roll, please. The owner, Jimmy Haslam, running away with this, and then it's pretty close between head coach and front office. Players, I mean, they can only do – I'm sorry, Dylan Gabriel should not be throwing 52 times in an NFL game with Quinshon Judkins standing behind him. But ownership, and, all right, again, he's in charge of everything. A lot of the Browns' problems right now, I think a lot of us will agree, comes down to what they did for the Deshaun Watson move. I still can't blast them for trying to get a guy who was a top 5-6 quarterback at the time. But at the end of the day, it hasn't worked out. And ownership, while they've gotten better – okay, they haven't got this ship going in the right direction either.
I think the fans are willing to pick the owner because when it's all said and done, the owner is the person who picks the GM. The owner is the person who picks the head coach. And so although, like you said, these guys are to blame as well, he is picking who is making choices for your football team. And so that's why it's easy to pick the owner.
It does work out that way. And, again, blame everybody. But the folks want to point to the owner most. Hey, from the OBR, how can the Browns get Quinshon Judkins back on track this season? I have an idea. Give him the ball. Tailgate continues after this.
That was like being dipped in magic waters. That's what it felt like the entire season. Yeah, the come from behind wins, you know, they start calling us the cardiac Colts, I think, and you know those moments, those games. I say it's dipped in magic waters because I mean there were some magical moments. You know, there's some magic made.
Around the AFC, sponsored by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, we're going to go around the AFC. First event, we got it. Josh made it. He got into a fight with a flat tire, but I think
he lost.
He lost the fight. But we got our guy. He's back. We're going to go around the AFC here, where the big game of the week, and who had this at the start of the year? The Colts Chargers. Indy 5-1, Chargers 4-2. A surprising big-ticket game in the AFC, gentlemen.
It is, and I think what's more surprising is people are just looking at the Colts more so than the Chargers. The Chargers were a good team last year, so they're looking at the Colts and looking at who their quarterback is, somebody that we tried to put out the league in Daniel Jones. And that's what I always say. It goes back to coaching and being in a good system. He goes to a good system. Now he looks like the man because he's getting coached up, and they're winning football games and in a position to be atop the AFC.
Yeah, and I think it's a changing of the guard, you know. And you saw that early on with Kansas City having issues, and then like we said, then they come on in the middle of the season, and it's like, where is all that talk at? However, you see through injury, teams are having issues. Basically in the AFC North, you see the Ravens are one of those teams that's playing in prime time, but are plagued with injury. So you can see that their season right now is highly affected because of that injury. So I'm looking at the AFC North heavy in non-division opponents.
What the Colts are doing is also blessed us with one of the great nicknames this year in the NFL for Daniel Jones is now Indiana Jones.
Oh, nice.
Thank goodness.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Somebody was able to make that happen. With Josh joining us, we want to back up just a little bit of a segue, because I do want to get your reaction to our pigskin poll question this week, which was, who do you blame the most for the Browns' problems? It's not who is the problem, so you can say all of the above. Who gets the most blame for this? And Josh, I'm interested what you think.
Well, you go up the ladder with it, right? And it's you can't say you blame an assistant coach, wide receiver, or you go up the ladder, from the top down, and that's why you choose the owner, then Andrew Berry, then the coach. A lot of times I would say Kevin Stefanski doesn't have a tail, but when we made certain trade with Flacco, let's say that, he had a tail. He kind of was taken by surprise, he said. He was thrown off guard. So there was a little dissension when you see those guys are usually all on the same path. They always agree on everything in the media. But when that happened, there was some dissension. He let something go, which was his surprise of that. So I would say first, Jimmy has him only because Andrew had to kind of sign off and say, hey, we're going to send Flacco away and things are going to, move in this direction. And then Andrew Berry, but it's football. We just have to be better than the other team. I'll say if I'm the head coach, I have to make enough plays or have my guys ready, whoever I have, to have them be successful. So then it lies on your head coach. Hey, you're giving a bunch of NFL players, you got to make them win. If you feel like you don't have enough talent, then as a head coach, you got to plead and beg for a better lineman, more guys, or play someone else. And right now they're dying on that hill unless Dylan Gabriel proves to be able to, right the ship a little bit and create some offensive points.
All right, there you go. When we come back, we're going to talk about when a guy gets benched. What do you do? Cover that a little bit, because it was an awkward moment in Cincinnati this week, and there's the foot. No matter the weather, they're partying out there. Tailgate continues after this.
Now the Quick Picks, sponsored by your local Kia dealers.
All right, there's actually been a lot of Bengals talk this week. Obviously, the Flacco thing, and we'll get Josh on that in a moment. But they've got a lot of problems on defense. They benched one of their best players on defense, a linebacker named Logan Wilson, a guy they just gave big money to. And they benched him for a rookie named Barrett Carter, which is a little awkward from folks, and people wondered how would Logan Wilson handle that. I think he took it pretty well.
I told him that like on Wednesday of last week. We found out about this on Monday, and I put my arm around him. And I told him, I said, there's going to be no hard feelings between us. Just know that I'm not going to change who I am. I still want to help you out. I know I've played a lot of football, and there's things I can still pour into you. And I told myself I was not going to change who I am because of a time of adversity in my life. And whenever my career's done, look back at this time of adversity and be able to tell my kids how to get through, how to work through adversity like this. And that's what I'll be most proud of by the end of the day. I'm still going to work to continue to get better, just continue to support him as best as I can, because that's what a good teammate would do.
All right, guys, if you got benched like he did, he's not old. He's in the prime of his career. If you got benched, would you handle that the way he did? Help the kid.
I would have handled it in that way. I did. We brought in another returner. His name slips me. Well, we brought in another returner towards the end of my stint here with the Cleveland Browns, and I was on coverage units. I was blocking for him. I was leading him down when he scored his first punt return touchdown. He didn't pan out to be, the Cribs or better. However, that's the NFL. When you're here in this jersey, you represent yourself first, then the team. How are you going to play? So he's representing himself, because another team may want to grab him, and they want to see the type of character he has. Is he going to be that woe is me type of character? No, he's a veteran. Hey, I'm going to put my arms around you. I'm going to be on you until I leave or until I'm not here. And it's rare, because I didn't get that type of treatment here when I took certain people positions. I didn't get that.
I think I would have helped out as well. I don't know if I would have been, you got to do this, got to do that, teaching everything kind of guy, but I know I would have helped the player out, because when it's all said and done, if you stay in this league long enough, someone's going to replace you.
Yeah.
Someone's going to replace you. And so if you're able to pay it forward, just like guys who we replaced paid it forward to us, then that's all you can do, and just hope it for the best.
Josh, you wanted to chime in on Flacco.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. I'm dying to hear that.
Yeah, and I changed from the last segment, whose fault it is, right? I changed from head down to coach. I changed it because I forgot that Flacco, I don't know how I forgot, but Flacco threw for over 300 yards. 3 touchdowns. He was the old Flacco that led us to the playoffs in prime time Thursday night versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I went on my Instagram and heralded this pick, this draft pick, 5th round for Flacco. Oh my God, we got a steal. That was a steal. So I was on the camp on the side that said Flacco was done. He's done. No, he wasn't done. He was just done with the Cleveland Browns. And when you see the distinct difference of how he operated just 2 weeks in to an offense, I understand we don't have a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins, but they didn't do nothing out of their body that Jerry Jeudy couldn't do, that threat, or any of our receivers. There were back shoulder throws. He just operated effortlessly in that offense, and I think it's the offenses. It was Kevin Stefanski's offense. I just didn't like it for Flacco. Hopefully it has a boost. I just lost confidence in the offense. Hopefully they change the trajectory of it. But you can't not see that.
At this point,
the red herring right there.
I want to squeeze in the inactives. They are out, and we knew about Conklin, we knew about Njoku. That's the flip card change there. Cornelius Lucas starting at tackle. So, yeah, it kind of is what it is. How about Raheem Sanders, by the way? Comes in week 1, has a touchdown, nice, effective game. He hasn't seen the light of day. I mean, poor kid going to do, right? They got Judkins, now I get it. But great game 1, and we never see the kid again. Right. The tailgate continues. It also continues in the Muni lot, where it's miserable. OBR is talking about this, and we should too. Is this the week Dylan Gabriel is more aggressive attacking down the field? Well, you'd love it, but can they get open down the field? Tailgate continues right after this.
think it starts with the leadership in helping articulate that for the guys, and then what we're expecting out of the guys, right? We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. I've made a mistake, and I'm owning up to that right now. I let the emotions of the game get to me after the game, and you know, that's something that I can learn from as a leader on this team. And what happens in-house should be protected, and none of that should have gotten out. And so, want to publicly apologize about that, want to move forward, and now want to focus on the Cleveland Browns.
Now, who needs to deliver? Sponsored by Jets Pizza. Jets, better because it has to be.
All right, well, Tua definitely needs to deliver after the week he's had. What did you guys make of the comments? What did you make of his response?
The first thing he said is the leadership. It's about the leadership, and then he goes back in the apology and says he's a leader. So, are you talking about yourself as well? I mean, he's throwing his team under the bus. He's talking about players as things that should be only spoken about in the locker room, whether it be the players or coaches. You can't go on the media and tell that guys are late. I mean, if they need to know, if somebody needs to tell them, they'll tell them. But it's not necessary for those guys to know. If I'm playing now, if I'm with Tua, it's gonna make it hard for me to play with him now because I can't trust him. I can't trust him.
He did publicly own up, right? Mm-hmm. And I know, Myles Garrett called out guys, not by name. He didn't call out anybody by name. He said, hey, we got to get on above. We got to cross our T's, dot our I's. That means being on time for meetings. He could have said it that way. That means being on time for meeting instead of guys are late for player-only meeting. Because then now the whole team knows who he's talking about. And now the media, their local media is like, who are you talking about when you did? So he was telling the truth. He did let his emotions get the best of him. He could have just said it in a different way, rephrased it in the standpoint of just saying, hey, we have to be on top of our game, getting the meetings on time, putting the extra work in, caring more, and things of that nature. He didn't say nothing too outlandish. It's just simply they're playing bad football. And bad football teams give those bad reviews, those bad.
But I don't think he needs to give the media any more fire by telling everyone that guys are late. We know guys are late or not showing up. People in the locker room know, so we can work that out ourselves. Nobody in the media needs to know because now they're going to be asking questions, digging, trying to find out what's going on, and is this why they're losing? And then this is how players get cut, coaches get cut.
I hope it carries on. I hope it carries on into this game. I hope they have disarray, and I hope that because I so much want our team to have success, especially at home, especially against a team that heralds their speed. This is a speed offense, a speed team coming in here, and hopefully the rain slows them down. But in history, that doesn't work. Our weather difference doesn't usually work.
All right, Dolphins coming into town. By the way, it's the first matchup of left-handed quarterbacks since 2006 when Vic took on Chris Sims. Dylan Gabriel and Tua Tagovailoa. Stay dry, folks. Drink hearty, be safe. Tailgate continues here on 19.
watch their pass rushers able to get after it because they have a 2 or 3 score lead, what goes through your head?
Must be nice.
There's a lot of things that we need to worry about. We need to take care of our own selves.
You know, that'd be a good conversation. I should go talk to those guys, and I got to correct me on that.
Man, it's tough. It's tough for everybody.
I believe that we can do it.
That's not pointing a finger at anybody. That's just, you know, the way it is.
You guys were annoying me today from that.
Shit, I'm frustrated. Not gonna stop being frustrated until we win and continue winning.
Follow the money. Sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union.
Oh, Tomlin there was great. All right, we're going to follow the money. These are the odds right now on the next coach getting fired. Bookies.com, I'm stunned Zach Taylor is 2 spots higher than Kevin Stefanski. McDaniel, I don't think anyone's surprised he's up top. How do you guys react to this?
Well, first, I think Kevin Stefanski is understood that he doesn't have, you know, that his quarterback, you know, saving the picks. It was almost as if, is this going to be a down year? Because we're stocking first-round draft picks. We're stocking draft picks in general. And then, you know, Flacco, who we went into the season with, and then just the whole quarterback shuffle. It's almost like, okay, now we need to see that 2-time coach of the year in action, right? And we're not seeing that. So who's out there, right, if they did let Coach Stefanski go? You know, how would we replace him? And this is what I fear with, you know, trading Newsom, you know, until we see somebody else in there. Okay, he's good until he's not, you know. So I'm just not on the fire the coach train yet. You know, despite Flacco having that success, you know, in the one game he played, we still got to see him more. I'm still not on the firing the coach so much so that now we're looking for a guy to come in and supposedly save us. He'll get ran out even quicker.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the list, kind of, other than the Zach Taylor thing. Like you said, I would think he would be lower on that list. Aaron Glenn, his first year, they don't have many players. Things just aren't going well in New York. But Mike McDaniel, I mean, they're expected to win. They've had players. He's supposed to be a boy genius as far as calling offense, and nothing's working out. And now you got your quarterback calling the leadership out as well as the players. So I look to him for him to be fired this year.
Yeah.
And when you go talking about Stefanski, it's an odd situation in Cleveland because in years past we've said they're firing the coaches too fast and not giving them a chance to get their players. And now we feel like we're taking too long, so we don't know what to do. But like you said, they're trying to build a team. I don't know if he'll be around for it, but they're trying to build a team. And I don't know offensively if he needs to be the guy. If he's going to be around, he needs to bring someone in who's going to be a bona fide OC.
Yeah.
A bona fide OC who's going to call plays, and Stefanski can implement his plan in there, but the guy makes all the calls.
I want to back up to something we were talking about at the end of last segment with the quarterbacks. First of all, did either of you guys play with a left-handed quarterback at any point?
No, I didn't. I haven't.
I don't recall. I played a long time
in baseball.
ago.
I pitched, and I had left-handed pitchers,
right.
you know, as a catcher. But no,
this question might not hit right then, but I'll give it a shot. I've heard some people say their spiral is different. I've heard other people say no, it's just wrong. But what I was getting at is what change other than the whole left tackle is right tackle.
Let me say
much
this.
change when a guy's left-handed and it throws everything off the
We
wall.
had a left-handed punter, and the ball rotates different. So a right-footed punter, the ball rotates and goes to our right. And left-footed, the opposite of that. So maybe that's true as it relates to the thrower. The pass rotates differently and goes the opposite way. Does it change the way of catching the football? Those guys don't seem to struggle catching his passes when they're thrown right to him.
Right.
So I think that's just an excuse that we're going to give them.
Well, I don't even mean it as an excuse, just as something that's interesting. Like,
And then
oh,
it's
by the
just
way, this whole thing is completely different if the guy's left-handed.
And then it's just it's a different look. I mean, especially if he's rolling out to his right and he's throwing from his left. It's a different look because when if you're on the left side and the quarterback rolls out to his left, he's right-handed. You know he has to turn his whole body, so you're looking at his whole frame.
I don't care. I won't want to use
the ball
as an
comes.
excuse.
I'm not using an excuse,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it's a different look, and so it makes it hard. Like, just as you know, it's catching the ball when it's spinning differently.
Yeah, and I didn't mean it as an excuse, just more of like it's kind of an anomaly. 52 passes out of Dylan Gabriel, last week, Quinshon Judkins the only the 12 carries. What is an acceptable amount of passes for Dillon Gabriel to throw? Let's say today, with bad weather and a bad team facing them.
You have to be in the game still. So we can't be running the football, right? And we're down 2.5. We're down over three scores, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. We can't be down in such a way with the time going down, and we're still trying to run. The run has to be established in the beginning of the game. We can't all of a sudden create a run attack when we're down 2 scores late in the fourth. So we have to understand that. They throw out of necessity. We need to get back in this football game. And I know people say, oh, we went away from the run too fast. Sometimes it's a necessity because we got to just pull out the stops to try to get back in the ball game.
I get that, but we can't throw the ball 50 times when you're only throwing it for 140 yards either. I mean, that does you no good. You're only getting up the field 1.5 times through 50 passes. So let's, like you said, establish the run. If in this game today, to be effective, I think it has to be maybe 25 passes.
Well,
maybe 25 passes, and because they're poor against the run, and so.
The run doesn't have to be a handoff either. It could be in the form of a screen, double screens, triple screen. You know, when you're looking this way, misdirection screens and things of that nature by the running backs. I want to see more of that, too. I want to see excitement out of this offense. It's raining, but I want to see something. I want to see the effort put in.
I want to see a win.
Yes, of course, the win.
Dub. Yeah, the weather is going to be lousy. Browns favored by 2.5. If they win this, surprisingly, they're 2-2 at home. They'll be 500 home club if they can win. Oh, my gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
They are hardy folks in the Muni lot. Never question the passion of Cleveland Browns fans. For Eric Metcalf and Josh Cribbs, I'm Mark Schwab. See you.